The governor promised Florida's boom would never end, but right now, it's burning to the ground. Governor Ron DeSantis is experiencing a real-time meltdown. While he sold the nation on Florida's economic miracle, something catastrophic happened beneath the headlines. Condos that once fetched $701,000 are now begging for buyers at $430,000, a 40% collapse with zero movement. One Miami Beach owner saw monthly fees explode from $400 to $200, then got slammed with a $75,000 special assessment. That's not a market adjustment. That's a financial execution. By 2022, Florida was the envy of America. Bidding wars erupted across the state. Prices soared. Headlines screamed about paradise found. But somewhere in 2024, the mood shifted. And what we're seeing now isn't just a correction. And the governor, he knows exactly what's coming. Florida's condo market is imploding in real time. In many places, the scale of decline is already matching 2008. And momentum suggests it could get worse. Behind the sanitized headlines lies a story as shattering as you're reading this. And it begins with DeSantis watching his political legacy crumble into a nightmare nobody saw coming. Here's the truth: nobody's reporting properly. Take Punta Gorda. According to official data, the typical condo dropped 26% since peaking in August 2022. That's a staggering decline, nearly matching the national collapse of 2008 percentage-wise. But people dismiss this, saying prices are still higher than before 2020. Technically true, completely misleading. First, look at the pace. In just the past year alone, condo values in Florida fell almost 15%. If that pace continues, prices will officially sink below pre-2020 levels within 18 months. That's $200 billion in wealth evaporating. Enough to buy every single person in Miami a brand new car. But that's not even the darkest part of this story. There's overwhelming evidence the collapse is already deeper than charts show. Specific examples tell the real story. Many condos sitting unsold with major cuts are still on the market today. Months later, same properties, no movement, nothing selling. Take one neighborhood as proof. A condo once valued at $701,000. By last summer, one down the street was listed for $450,000. Even at that price, no buyers. Now the estimate has slipped to $430,000. That's a 40% collapse from peak. And the real value might be lower because nothing here actually moves. Officially, prices dropped 26%. The real number? Try 58%. But let's talk about what the numbers aren't telling you. The few condos actually selling prove how severe the damage is. One absolutely absurd case, a standard 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1980s condo. Nothing special. Back in 2002, it sold for $122,000. Over the years, value bounced around. By early 2022, it was valued at roughly $320,000. Just weeks ago, sold for $127,000. That's a 58% collapse from peak, basically selling for the same price it fetched nearly 25 years ago. A quarter century of equity wiped out in one sale. That's enough to fund someone's entire retirement, college education, and legacy. Gone. And this isn't cherry picking. Head to Punta Gorda on any listing site. Filter to sold in the last 3 months. Condos only. See for yourself. The few condos showing sales truly showcase the damage. Multiple examples exist. One unit just sold for $180,000 after being valued at nearly $400,000 in early 2023. That's a real 55% decrease. Before that, it was listed at $342,000 in April, showcasing that sellers are still under the impression these declines aren't real. It took 3 massive price cuts to move, ultimately falling 35%. These condos aren't trading. They're sitting, being pulled, or stuck in limbo. Clear evidence that official data isn't capturing how deep this implosion truly goes. The official data? It's hiding something far worse. Now pull back the lens. The infection has spread statewide. Condo prices are falling in 92% of Florida's tracked markets. 92%. That's not a correction. That's systematic collapse. The biggest year-over-year declines: Punta Gorda led at 11.4%, Northport at 8.9%, Tampa at 7.9%. Even Miami saw condo values dip 3.4%. Meanwhile, single-family homes are holding slightly better, but prices are still falling in 66% of tracked markets. Punta Gorda again leads single-family declines at 7.3%. Cape Coral, Northport, and Naples are all posting modest reductions. This isn't isolated weakness. This is widespread deterioration across the entire state. And here's what should terrify you. In April 2025, Florida had 224,021 homes for sale, up 18.5% year over year. Inventory for single-family homes sat at 5.6 months supply. Condos, 10 months supply. Anything over 6 months favors buyers. 10 months, that's a buyer's market screaming distress. By June, condo inventory hit 10.1 months supply. Punta Gorda specifically shows 8.3 months for single-family, 12.7 months for condos. The statewide median for single-family homes in March 2025 was $412,500, down 1.9% from the prior year. For condos and townhouses, $315,000, a sharper drop of 4.5% year over year. Now zoom out, because Punta Gorda isn't alone in this nightmare. At Orlando's Regency Gardens, residents face $22,000 assessments, while monthly fees nearly tripled overnight. Imagine opening your mailbox to find your monthly payment just jumped from $450 to $1,300, and you owe an additional $22,000 within 90 days. That's 3 months' salary for the average American. Due immediately or face foreclosure. This affects nearly 1 million condo owners statewide. This is where the governor's story takes a turn nobody saw coming. This is where the political theater becomes a personal catastrophe. Governor DeSantis enters the picture, and it's not pretty. In a closed industry meeting, he reportedly acknowledged what everyone on the ground already knows. We're not looking at a market adjustment. We're watching a confidence collapse. According to leaked notes, he admitted Florida's growth wasn't managed properly. Infrastructure couldn't absorb the influx. Insurance reforms came too late. Building standards weren't enforced during the boom. Now, the state pays the price. But here's the part that should blow your mind. DeSantis revealed state economists project Florida will lose an additional 100,000 to 150,000 domestic residents over the next 18 months if trends continue. That's on top of the exodus already happening. The meeting notes showed genuine panic about what this means for tax revenue, local governments, and Florida's reputation. One attendee reported him saying, "If we don't fix insurance and HOA issues in the next 12 months, we're looking at a decade-long recovery." Remember the governor who promised Florida's boom was unstoppable? He's now privately admitting to industry insiders that the state faces a decade-long recovery, while publicly blaming everyone but himself. Publicly, he's blaming everything except his own policies. Federal interference, out-of-state insurers, market forces beyond control. But privately, he knows the truth. The paradise he marketed to the nation is imploding, and there's no quick fix. But here's what should genuinely terrify you about what's next. And here's the part that rewrites everything you think you know. Following the Champlain Tower South collapse in June 2021 that killed 98 people, Florida passed sweeping reforms. Senate Bill 4D requires structural inspections and massive reserve funding for older buildings by the end of 2024. Well-intentioned? Absolutely. Catastrophic for owners? Also absolutely. HOA fees jumped 17.2% in Tampa, 16.7% in Orlando, 16.2% in Fort Lauderdale. But for older condos, special assessments of $50,000, $80,000, or even $100,000 per unit are due immediately. That's enough to buy a brand new Tesla, except you can't drive away from this bill. One Miami Beach owner saw fees jump from $400 to $1,200 monthly, plus $75,000 in special assessments. And don't forget CD fees, Community Development District charges in new subdivisions. That's another $200 to $300 monthly on top of everything else. For buyers, the math doesn't work anymore. It's not sticker price killing deals. It's the endless rising monthly costs that never stop. In Broward and Palm Beach counties, condos under $500,000 saw 6% to 7% price drops in the first quarter of 2025. Miami-Dade stayed relatively flat, but average monthly unit sales plummeted. Sales peaked in 2021, with Miami-Dade averaging 2,134 units monthly, Broward at 1,164, Palm Beach at 1,139. Now, dramatically lower across all price points. This isn't 2008. This is something far stranger. Here's what's really happening, the part that should terrify every Florida seller. buyers have gone on strike, not because they can't afford properties, but because they've lost faith in the entire system. They're thinking, why pay $500,000 for a condo that might need special assessments next year, $12,000 in insurance, $600 in HOA fees, and could get wiped out by the next hurricane? It's not about sticker price anymore. It's about trust. And once trust breaks, it takes years to rebuild. Look at any Florida real estate discussion online. Comments everywhere. Waiting for 30% off. Don't catch a falling knife. I'd buy if insurance and HOA weren't killing me. People have mentally checked out until they see real change. This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. More people wait, more inventory piles up, sellers get nervous. But here's the critical difference from 2008. This isn't a traditional crash where people can't afford homes. This is a buyer strike where people choose not to buy because the cost structure has become insane. Florida's inventory exploded 375% since early 2022. Unlike 2008, this isn't banks dumping foreclosures. This is a calculated standoff between buyers and sellers, each waiting for the other to blink first. One Canadian claims it took nearly a year and 3 faltering offers to sell for a $175,000 loss, saying the market's in complete freefall. Their biggest concern? Nobody realizes it yet. Sellers either pull listings, refuse to accept new price levels, or let them linger hoping for turnarounds. Truth is, many instances would require massive cuts to make any move. This is why many believe damage isn't captured by price data. It's actually worse. For the Southwest Florida condo market, it's very possible right now that we have 50% declines in spots, putting us on par with 2008. This is the critical difference from 2008 that changes everything. So what does this mean for you? Right now, today. Here's exactly what to watch, because these signals indicate when Florida's market turns. First, when inventory peaks and drops for 3 consecutive months. Second, when citizens' insurance policy count continues dropping below 1 million, already happening. Third, when more carriers announce their Florida market re-entry. Fourth, institutional buyers quietly return. Fifth, migration numbers tick upward. Sixth, construction lawsuits decline. Some signals are already flashing. Over 30 insurance carriers quietly returned to Florida after 2023. Citizens dropped from 1.4 million policies to under 1 million as private companies return. Some areas are seeing rates decrease for the first time in years. Barrier Islands down 25%. Inland areas flat to 10% decreases. And now, the smart money sees what retail buyers don't. Florida's 2023 insurance reforms successfully reduced litigation, driving 79% of national lawsuits despite Florida representing only 9% of claims. This lawsuit reduction is already generating cost savings passed to consumers. While everyone panics, something quietly shifted that almost nobody noticed. While everyone thinks the insurance crisis is worsening, structural problems are actually getting solved. Smart money sees this. The public doesn't. The pros know this. Retail buyers don't. While everyone panics, something quietly shifted that almost nobody noticed. Here's the bottom line, and this matters whether you own, plan to buy, or just watch from the sidelines. If you dig into forums or social platforms, you'll find countless first-hand accounts of people losing massive money on Florida condos. Let me know what you're seeing on the ground, whether it's price cuts, slower sales, or unexpected trends. The next 6 months separate those who saw this coming from those who lose everything.